Chris Lee of Southeastern 14 here for a little midweek news and notes show, things of interest. This is something we've not done before, so we'll give it a shot and hope you'll like it. Some things that stood out from the midweek games in SEC baseball. Number one, congratulations to Ole Miss coach Mike Bianco. He is now number 2 all-time in Southeastern Conference wins. Ole Miss beat Memphis 7-2 on Tuesday, and he passed the legendary Skip Bertman at LSU. Ron Polk still a good bit ahead of Mike Bianco and the field. He had 1,218 wins in his time at Mississippi State and Georgia, but congratulations to Mike Bianco, of course, who won a national title a year ago now and is now the number 2 all-time winningest coach in the Southeastern Conference. Okay, another thing of note, South Carolina shut out North Carolina in Charlotte yesterday. That's a nice midweek win for the Gamecocks. Matthew Becker started through 3 scoreless innings. Eli Jersenbeck threw 3 more scoreless, and Noah Proctor got the win. Anyway, a 5-0 win for the Gamecocks, which should look nice on the resume come Selection Monday time. In other news, Vanderbilt beat Western Kentucky 8-1 on Tuesday. It now has the nation's longest winning streak, according to Warren Nolan. That is at 12. It's 2 games longer than runner-up Oregon. Florida, I think at 3, has the SEC's next longest winning streak right now, as a lot of teams beat up on each other over the weekend. Okay, some team news and notes. It's a little too early to do bracket stuff with any degree of certainty or regional projections, but if I did it right now, I would guess Kentucky, Arkansas, LSU, South Carolina, and Vandy to be top 8 national seeds, not necessarily in that order. Now, look, I'm guessing the league is not going to get 5 top 8 national seeds because I just don't think ridiculous, but people are interested in these things, and so there's a little analysis on that. I also think Florida would host. I think Alabama and Tennessee would get at large bids right now, but probably not host. Lots of time left. Next 3 teams, Missouri, Auburn, and A&M, each are going to have a shot if they play well, but have got a lot of work to do. Then you've got Ole Miss at 1-8 and is in a pretty good sized hole, but has got the talent to climb out of it as it did a year ago. Now, the teams that I think are looking at bad news, I'm not seeing it with Georgia and Mississippi State. Georgia is going to host Arkansas, Tennessee, and LSU by year's end. So if the Bulldogs get hot in Athens, that's an opportunity to rack up some quality wins, and that gives Georgia a chance. But Mississippi State, boy, I'm just hard to see it with the Bulldogs. You never count that program out because it can hit, and the pitching has got to get better by the fact that it almost can't get worse. But in any case, in terms of regionals and NCAA bids, I think that's how I see it as of today. All right, we don't talk about predictive computers in baseball much. I do look at them. I don't know how many other people do. There's 4 that I look at in particular: Kenneth Massey's, Boyd's World's Icers, Warren Nolan's ELO, and Sonny Moore. I'm always interested in those because I think run margins are interesting. It tells us a little bit more than RPI about how good you are. You know, in RPI, you can slaughter a good team. In a 3-game weekend series, you can win by 50 runs, and you'll get penalized in RPI, even though it doesn't say anything about you being a lesser team. That's what I like about the predictive computers is they allow for those things. They don't give you too much credit for beating bad teams, but they certainly don't penalize you when you do. Well, guess what? The predictives do, in this case, look a lot like RPIs. Here's an average of those 4. As of this morning, Vanderbilt and LSU average out at number 3. Kentucky, number 4 nationally. Again, I continue to think Kentucky is a little bit better than people think because of the pitching. Florida and South Carolina average out at 7. So again, by the predictive computers, you've got a total of 5 teams there that are top 8 caliber nationally, according to the predictive computers. Next, you've got Arkansas at 10, Tennessee at 12. I don't know what to do with the Vols. The pitching has not been great from the starting side. The Vols have not beaten a lot of good teams, but the team ERA, those kind of things, pretty good. Tennessee can hit a little bit. Bats came alive in LSU over the weekend. So the Vols are maybe the team that I think are the hardest team to figure at this point. And the predictives do like Tennessee and see the Vols as a regional hosting caliber team. Alabama at 16, I continue to say I think Alabama is probably the most underrated team in the league or close to it. Anyway, that suggests Alabama is a host caliber team. Then you get to Texas A&M at 28. The predictives really diverge widely on the Aggies for reasons I don't know. Then you get to Ole Miss at 30. Missouri has really dropped down to 45. Auburn 50. Mississippi State 55 and Georgia 56, rounding that out. So even the bad SEC teams are still seen by the predictive computers as top 60 teams nationally, which is kind of interesting. Okay, I've been running some offensive stats of interest and trying to get a jump on the player of the year stuff. And I do some old Bill James stuff where I look at runs created, which is how many runs you create as a hitter according to his formula, which has been tested over time and used at the major league level with a lot of success. You don't see a lot of guys run that on college players, but I've done it. Here's our top 14 leaderboard because, of course, we're going to do 14 players. We are Southeastern 14. No surprise, Dylan Cruz is leading the SEC in runs created at 57. And by the way, these are not adjusted for ballpark or competition. It just is what the number is. Dylan Cruz, no surprise, has been the most productive hitter in the SEC. Now, when you do that per 27 outs, Cruz is creating an incredible 34.4 runs per 27 outs. Now, offense is up for whatever reason. People have their theories on that. I'm not going to get into that today, but I've been doing this for years. And a lot of times an SEC Player of the Year caliber candidate will create 11, 12, 13 runs per 27 outs. Cruz is doing 2.5 times that, which is amazing. You knew he was a great hitter, and that just proves even more how special a season he's having. Jack Caglianone of Florida is next at 55 runs created, but when you factor in per 27 outs, he drops off all the way to 19.8, which is still incredible. The rest of the leaderboard, Josh Rivera, 48 runs created, 18.7 per 27 outs. So Florida's got a very heavy presence here, which is not done yet. The rest of the 14, Jared Wegner at Arkansas, his number's 44 and 18.7. Connor Tate at Georgia, 43 and 17.4. Charlie Condon at Georgia, the tremendous freshman, 42 and 18.1. Wyatt Langford at Florida, who will rise up the boards. He's been hurt. 41 runs created, 21.5 per 27 outs. Again, that reflects the time that he's missed. Then a couple of Gamecocks. Ethan Petrie at 41 and 16.6. Gavin Cassis at 38 and 13.7. Followed by Bryson Ware at Auburn, 37 and 13.4. Jace Borfin of Arkansas, 37 and 18.2. RJ Schreck at Vandy, 37 and 13.6. Braylon Wimmer at South Carolina, 36 and 12.9. And Colton Ledbetter at Mississippi State, 36 and 13.5. Again, those are just the raw numbers. So if you want to say this guy has feasted on bad competition, hey, you're welcome to that opinion. It's not designed to adjust for that. It's just telling you what it is. Pitcher rankings. Okay, I started to do those today. I decided not to because you're really looking at small sample sizes, but I'll just say this. Paul Skenes at LSU. I mean, the pitcher of the year conversation is Skenes starting up here, and then everybody else kind of look below your screen because that's the drop-off. Skenes has put up unbelievable numbers so far. He is only issuing 6% free passes. That's walks and hit per pitches. He's striking out 52% of the hitters he faces. Now, you see strikeouts per 9, but sometimes that's a little deceiving because if you walk a lot of guys, you get more plate appearances and those things. I like strikeout percentage because it's of all the hitters you face, what percent do you strike out? Skenes is striking out 52%. Anything over 30 is pretty elite. I think Landon Sims at Mississippi State a couple of years ago struck out maybe in the low 40s, and Skenes is saying, hold my beer here. He is having an incredible season, has not allowed a home run, and only allowing 0.63 base runners per inning pitched. We'll get into pitchers a little bit more next week when we've got a little more data. I was afraid if I ran the numbers, people might say, well, you got this guy. He's a really great pitcher. He's not in your top 14. Well, you got some great pitchers that just haven't earned it yet. So rather than going to something I could get dinged for a little bit, I'm choosing to hold that out till next week. Thank you to our sponsor, Bearded Iris. Thank you for watching. Best way to get our content, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. That helps our analytics. We'll be back and do another one of these in midweek next week. I'm Chris Lee of Southeastern 14, and thank you for watching.